Hey everybody, welcome to Etc. Live. I'm Kelly Barrett, your host tonight. I want to thank everybody for coming back tonight. This is the Darby Mills interview, take 2. Super proud to have Darby back with us tonight. This is her second appearance on the show. So you know what? Let's just go ahead and welcome the Queen of Scream herself, Darby Mills. Darby.
Hey.
Hey, what's up?
How are you? How's it going?
You know, it's much better tonight. Two really cool things happened since last night. I got a really pretty new laptop today, which is awesome. And also, I learned a little something last night, because what I learned was that I think probably about a year and a half ago, when I was really new at this show, I probably would have needed some therapy after last night. But you know, I'm learning to roll with the punches and go with the flow. So last night was a teaching moment for me, Darby Mills. And so I ended up just making a nice dinner, and then I watched the new Chris Rock Netflix special, had some laughs, and you're back today. And I just can't thank you enough for agreeing to come back. So welcome.
Not a problem.
You know,
we are having a few intermittent problems. We're cutting in and out. There's nothing we can do about it. So we'll just bear with it and do the best we can.
Absolutely, 100%. Everything looks good on my end. So the comments are already flying in. So people are watching, which is awesome. You know what, Deborah, I really want to talk about the Darby Mills Project, and you guys have been super busy and you've got a lot on the go. But I need to mention this because it's actually such a kick for me to speak with you, and for the second time, because I remember when I saw you back in the 80s, and I still remember it was at the Center of the Arts in Regina, Saskatchewan, and I don't remember the year, but I was wanting to get into the business, and I came and I saw you, and you came out in this tight thing, like this like aerobics wear, and you know, it was the 80s, and the leg warmers, and it was all dark, and the lights kicked in, and you gave that wail for Turn It Loud. And my little mind was blown. I think I don't know. I was young. My mind was blown. And I remember that it's like, that's what I want to do with my life. That is what I want to do. Not that I could scream like you, but I remember it was, you know, it was bands like the Headpins and Lee Aaron and Toronto. Those females were my mentors. And so I'm just trying to say it's a real pleasure to have you here.
Well, it's my pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, 100%. Oh, the comments are flying in, so I'm going to get to a few of them or I miss them. So Sandy nodding is saying, hey, Sandy, thanks for coming back. Oh, my sister's in the house. Hey, sweetheart, love you. Actually, my sister I used to steal all her Headpins albums, and like she was my older sister, and so I would steal all her albums, and so good to see her here. Hi, Medina. Good to see you. Buenos noches, Kelly and Darby. He's from far away. I can't remember exactly where, but you know, Darby, I wanted to talk a bit about the 2018 documentary, Darby Mills, Queen of Scream, because I watched it this week and I absolutely loved it for many reasons, but for one major reason. I loved how you open the documentary and you start out by saying, how many people get to start over at age 57? And I thought, wow, and you describe it as scary, torturous, exhilarating. Like, can you elaborate on that?
You know, it was a scary decision, but the behind the scenes with my former band had become unbearable for me. And as the documentary explains, I'd lost my mom, and 6 months later, I basically lost my husband. He didn't end up dying, but he flatlined in the ambulance in our driveway. And I just was very, very conscious all of a sudden of nothing is for granted. It's now or never. And while I still had the energy and the drive, because you have to have drive or you just don't get it done, it was time to do something. And Headpins didn't want to do the songs I wanted to do. They didn't. I had no future in the band other than to ride the same ride and until the agent retired and then we wouldn't work
Right.
anymore. And to me, that was just, you know what, I can't let that happen. I've been a musician since I was 17 years old, or a singer, and I didn't wisely put money away or have a pension, and there's no musician's pension. So I'm going to have to
Right.
work undoubtedly until I can't sing anymore. So just the way the business end of my former band was going, there was no future in it for me other than to continue to um, put my salary in the bank, and you know, it just, it wasn't working. It wasn't working. So yeah, they weren't interested in changing their format, and I had to change. It was
Right.
just inevitable that it was time for me to take the wheel and drive, because I was going down the wrong road. And I'm, besides the obvious struggles that now exist between myself and my former band, um, I'm really happy that I made the choice. I've got a wonderful team of players working with me now, and we've come out with some stuff that I would never have been able to do if I was still part of my former band. I'm so proud of it, and I'm looking forward to the new stuff to come, and there's new stuff coming. So, yay.
Yeah, you've been busy. And you know what happens? You know what happens? People grow apart. People have different directions and they feel they need to go their own way. And you know, and that's fine. And the one thing about the documentary that I really loved is when you say you didn't want to be the one that went down without trying. And that was the part I really loved about it, because I think, like, what a powerful message to send, not just women, you know, people in general, but especially for women, because I think, Darby, sometimes we live in a world where I don't know if women feel that way or society makes women feel that, you know, we're 40 now, so we got to put on a cardigan and stop dreaming and stop growing and doing. And so I love that opening was so powerful that, you know, who else gets, you know, when you're 57 to launch into something new and make it happen. And I think what a great message, you know, what a powerful message for, you know, and then there's part of the video where you're kind of stretching, and guys, you can check it out on YouTube. It's called Darby Mills Queen of Scream. You know, you're stretching and you come walking out and you got the freaking body of a 20-year-old still. So good for you, Darby Mills.
I know how to pick clothes. Matter of fact, COVID has done me no favors. And even though I've worked out right through COVID, I did find an appreciation for red wine and mixed nuts, and it's not been kind, but like I said, I'm still working out 3 to 4 times a week, and once the shows start kicking in, I'll go into 5 or 7 days a week, depending on how much energy I have to try and get back my 6-pack. Right now, it's not there. Well, it's there. It's just underneath a nice layer of wine.
I love it.
You
Yeah,
know
I
what?
think you
I'm
and
going to be
everybody else.
64 this year, and yeah, I'm going to be 64 this year, and if I don't get the 6-pack back, I'm okay with that. I want to be healthy the best I can, and also along with the theme here, if you can't enjoy your life now, um, I'm going to enjoy food. I'm going to enjoy a glass of wine. I'm going to do all the things, or as many things as I can, that give me joy, because I have definitely discovered mortality in the past few years. And the reality is it's real. We are not going to be here forever. And I've watched my parents deteriorate before I lost them. And I'm seeing in my husband and in myself aging. I'm going to have a 30-year-old son in a matter of months. So
Right.
it's like, wow, do what you can. Do it now. Do it
Right. And I
now.
think I agree, Darby. And I think that message was never more prevalent than after COVID hit, because, you know, not only with just the natural process of losing people as we get older, but I think the COVID came along and people were just like, holy hell, like there's nothing that can be done about this. And, you know, I've said this before, often when something happens, somebody can fix it. You know, the government can fix it, or there's a YouTube video, or a doctor can fix it. And here was something that nobody could freaking do anything about. And I think, like, I know for myself, it really put things into perspective for me too. But I mean, I started this show Speaking of starting new things after the age of 50, I was over 50 when I started the show during COVID. So yeah, the best message ever that I'm hearing right off the bat is just, life is short, so get out and do it, and don't stop keeping on, I think is one of your phrases.
It is. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And shortly I'll be doing a video for that. I'll be doing, having fallen into this video editing adventure that I've been on for the last about 8-9 months, or well, I guess even longer than that. I'm on my 7th video now. I'm loving it. It's unexpectedly um, just fulfilling. I just love what's happening. It's very expensive. This last video, I've probably put $400 into just Adobe stock. I've tried to find
Great.
as much free stuff as I could, but it's the free stuff's just not as good as, so I just figured, whatever, go for it. I know that you don't make money on videos, you don't make money on music anymore. It's a hopeless case. It's you're lucky if you make money live. I think that the classic rock era is slowly dying out. I know that I'll get flack for saying that, but I just think that our age group, or the era that I came from in the late 70s and 80s, those people don't want to go to bars anymore. They're not necessarily going to go out to an outdoor show 5, 6, 10, 20 times a year. They're going to pick and choose. And yeah, I just think with all the concerts or festivals that I've been hearing of late that are shutting down and not running, at least this year, it's it's like, okay, we might be at the end of our era. A
Yeah.
sad and frightening thought, but um, you know what? You gotta prepare yourself for that and figure out what you're going to do, especially as a musician who didn't have the luxury of having the job give you a retirement fund.
Great.
So that's we got some new stuff up our sleeve here. I'm excited about a new project. Can't say too much, but it's called True Story. And we're gonna be kind of taking a left-hand turn, and yeah, pretty excited about what might happen with True Story.
Right. Good stuff. And I agree. Everything you just said, I agree. I had this conversation with Jeff Neal from Streetheart. How I feel really truly grateful that I was a part of this era. And there's probably people that are going to hate me for saying this too, but I kind of feel sad for our younger people. Maybe every generation feels this about their own music of their era, but I really feel like you're right. We were part of such an amazing, the 80s and 90s when the music scene was just freaking magical. And it was a major event to go see a concert. And there was all these amazing Canadian bands busting out on the scene. And I don't know if we necessarily see that with some of the newer music, which is not to say there isn't some great new music out there. But I just, I do. And that's why I love this show so much, because I feel like I get the privilege of having on all these people that we're discussing, that were part of that era, that, really were the soundtrack to our lives. And I agree with you.
Yeah,
So I'm just
and
glad that we're part of it.
yeah, and the opportunity to play 7 days a week. I mean, you honed your craft compared to how much we work now. Um, in a week, or in 2 weeks, you could do a year's worth of shows.
Right.
That's what's been happening for me the past 10 years anyway. 10 to 15 shows, you're lucky if you get that a year. We did that in 2 weeks. You could hone your craft. There was a lot of craziness going on too, but
Yeah.
the opportunity to become really good and solid was definitely an advantage back then. And playing in the garage and rehearsing, which is what I've done with my side project, Press Play. We rehearsed for 2 years, because every time we got back together and had a gig scheduled, there'd be another lockdown. So we rehearsed for 2 years without a gig. And 7 gigs fell through, because every time we got a gig, there'd be a lockdown. So
Right.
in a week and a half, we're going in to actually shoot a video for that project. And it's the way the business is now. Not only am I an editor, but I'm the singer, and the driver and the promoter, and you have to do everything now. I have 9 social media platforms that some of them I'm very bad at, and focus on the ones that I understand more. But it's a full-time job, not even being on the stage, just to try and keep up with what's going on for the market these days, which is the streaming market, which is just like so different, so very different than what we came from.
Right. And so being that you just said that, Darby, here's one of my favorite new questions is, so is technology, because it wasn't there back in that wonderful era that we were just speaking of, it wasn't there. And now it's such a huge part of the industry. And so do you consider technology friend or foe?
Oh, well, it's both. Um, I'm recording at home. We did the medley, 6-song headpin video medley. I'm spinning around. Here we go. I'm back. I recorded that in my bathroom. We shot the video in a studio, but came home and did the editing at home. And again, all this video editing I'm doing right now. 20 years ago, there wouldn't have been a hope in
Hell.
hell that I'd be able to do this. So technology, incredible. I love it. And I hate it all at the same time because I don't understand all of it. It has surpassed me. Having to ask my kids, I need help, is not frequent, but frequent enough to let me know that I'm, I got to stay on this. You got to stay on top of this because you will get left behind. And unfortunately, that's where the money is. If there's any money in it at all, which I still don't believe there's money in music. I don't believe there is. I think we're all doing this
For the love.
for the good, because of the love. And I'm going to take that to the bank when my mortgage is up and say, but my job I love. Just kidding. But it's
It's so true though. It's so true. But I really think when you're a creative, as we both are, and this is not so much what you do, it's who you are. I mean, it just is who you are. And I don't think not doing it is even an option for most artists, that have done it their whole life. And Darby, I'm just gonna, like, I've been speaking of technology. I agree with what you said as well, because last night technology was not my friend. I hated it. Today I'm very happy with it, and I'm grateful that if there was no technology, I wouldn't get to do this show. So yeah, I'm really mixed on that one too. I think it can be helpful when it's not used too much in the actual production of music, as in when the music isn't real anymore. But I think it's fabulous for getting the music out there to the masses. The negative I have with it also is just this overload of just anybody and their dog can put music out there, and it's too much. Do you know what I mean? So I have kind of a love-hate relationship with it. And yeah, I'm just going to go to a few comments here because there's tons of them. So Lisa Freakrock. Hi, Lisa. She's saying hello. Stefan LaRue says, Darby rocks. Love you from Corbeil, eh? Corbeil. Ed Shove. Hey, Ed, how you doing, buddy? Hiya, Darby. Been seeing your shows from the mid-'80s in Vancouver. And hiya, Kelly. What was your all-time favorite video to shoot? He wants to know.
Oh, that's a hard one. I love doing videos. I love the drama in a video. I love I love the acting part. I've liked them all. You know what? I don't have a favorite one. I'm sorry. I don't.
Oh, that's
I've loved them all, and it's such a trip to go back and look at Don't It Make You Feel Like Dancing. I was 21 years old, as green as you could be, but loving it, living it. That was like a 29-hour straight shoot. I posted pictures of the end of that shoot, sitting with my makeup down to my cheeks, my mascara down, and just like, but yeah. So
Yeah,
sorry, I can't give you a favorite. I love them all.
That's an answer. That's an answer, Darby. Absolutely. I was speaking of videos. I was watching the monkey video today, and I posted it. Check it out on my Facebook page, guys. What a cool tune.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm wondering when I was watching the video, what was the inspiration for that song? And what is the writing process like with the Darby Mills Project? Is it a collaborative sort of effort, or how does that go?
Well, at this point, because I live 5, 6 hours away from the band, we haven't done. Every time we've set out to do a writing session, there's been either a COVID lockdown, which we thought, oh, perfect, nobody's working, we'll spend time writing. Well, it was like, no,
Right.
lockdown. And I also have to drive the highway from hell to get to Vancouver. So the last session that we had scheduled, guys took time off. We was going down for 3 days. Coquihalla got closed and shut down, so I couldn't go down. So we haven't had a chance to write internally in the band. The songs from the Flying Solo album, which originally was Never Look Back, is where the band, where our originals come from at this point. And what I did for writing with that, I was in Toronto for a while when I wrote with Stan Meisner. Um, and it's inspiration comes from all kinds of places. There's just no one way, in my experience, to write. I find that most importantly, if you sit down and just go, okay, I'm going to write today, and you don't actually have a subject to write about, you will trip and stumble a lot. In my experience, I think that right, I've heard and seen that many times, and it's absolutely true in my opinion. Write what you know, and then at least you have something to draw from, experiences to draw from, rather than I'm gonna write a love song about blue somethings, right? It's like, it doesn't work for me.
Right. You got to write about what you love and what you know for sure. And I think that goes with writing. I'm a writer. That's what I do for a day job. And yeah, I definitely want to write about what you know, what you're passionate about. Jordan Whiffen. Hey, Jordan, it's good to see you here. That's a first, I think. He's saying greetings from Winnipeg. Turn it loud. Oh, Renita's in. Hey, Renita.
Hey,
Hey, she says, hi, Darby. Used to live in Kelowna, moved here. Don't worry about age. Just do what you do. That's what I do. There are no rules. I know Alfie from the jams in Kelowna. Stephen wants you to come back to Ottawa. Stephen LaRue. Jim Robinson.
I'd love to come back to Ottawa. You got to tell the Ottawa venues that we're still working. Love to be back.
There you go, Stephen. Get it happening. Become an agent. Have your people call somebody's people and make that happen. So Jim Robinson
Yeah.
says, hey, Darby, you know I love when you sing blues. Do you think that might be an option in the future?
Um, that side project that I was mentioning, Press Play, it's called Press Play because that's what you had to do when you listen to the music that we play in the band. Press play, you would have to press play on the tape recorder. So that's how far back those songs. So it's a cover band, but it's great, great songs that my older brothers and sisters would listen to when I was very young, and it just embedded music for the first time into my being. So songs like Stormy and oh God, now I can't think of anything, but we go from the cleanest and the starkest of AM radio songs through to Electric Light Orchestra and Lighthouse. And even though we're only a 3-piece band with me as a singer, so 4 in total, these players are so fantastic that they were getting away without having horns and keyboards. And I'm really excited about it, and I do believe it will be my retirement. It's what I will do when I can no longer scream, turn it loud, which those days might be coming. I don't know. These new tunes that I've been doing with my English connection, the UK connection, I'm purposely singing in a lower register to make sure that I'll be able to sing them for as long as possible. I don't know if I told the story last time about going into Bruce Allen's office shortly before I lost my management deal with his ex-partner. I walked in his office and he said, "Oh my God, Darby, what is Brian McLeod trying to do to you? You're singing so high and screaming. Oh my God, I hate it. I just hate it." I'm like, okay, but in some senses, he's right. I listened back to those tunes as a 21-year-old with an elastic throat that I could, I could do pretty much anything. And it's not an elastic throat.
Right. And I think that's the beauty of it, Darby, is
Into
now.
that,
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
the larynx. Yeah.
I was
Anyway, so I go ahead.
sorry. I was just going to say, I think that's the beauty of starting over at your age, because it happens to all singers. It's, that's just the nature of the human voice. As we get older, it's not as elastic. And so I think how wonderful that you could start a new project, the Darby Mills Project, at a later age, and then you can write tunes that, and I think it's brilliant that you're thinking of down the road. I'm going to write stuff that I can still sing in 10 years. Absolutely. Oh, Sean Tiedemann's in the house. Do you know Sean Tiedemann? He's saying hi, Darby.
Never heard of him. I
He
never
doesn't
heard of Sean Tiedemann. No.
So I'm taking it that's a
I
yes.
do. Hey, Sean.
Sean does a wicked Kiss tribute. He's an amazing. Vinny Barbarino was saying you're still a hot rocker. Hi,
Oh,
Kelly.
yeah. I'm not going to stop rocking.
Dino Vizzuti. Hey, Dino, buddy. It's good to see you. He's like, hi, Kelly. Hi, Darby. Thanks for signing my denim shirt at the Shamrock in Calgary back in the day. Keep on rocking. Right on. Kathy Belford says, hey, Darby, love ya. Phil Days is saying best voice in rock and roll. There are so many comments coming in. I'm probably not going to get to them all, guys, so I apologize for that. Oh, Lee Canfield. Lee, I got to tell you this. Lee, he's a good friend of mine and a great friend of Etc. Live, but he has been waiting for this. He's crazy fanboying over you all week long, and he shamelessly admits it. So this is what he says. This is going to be good. Hello, Kelly and Darby. Evening, ladies. I would like to share a backstage story of the Headpins, 1995 West Edmonton Mall. It was at the Joint. The lineup was Prism, Headpins, and Helix. I was there with some fellow musician buddies. Anyway, the sound guy granted us backstage access. So there I was backstage chatting with the Helix boys when I spotted you, Darby, in the corner of the green room without a throng of fans. It was my opportunity to come over and say hello. As I sauntered over, my hand outstretched. Oh, and his message cuts off. Lee. But I know the story, so I'm going to finish it. So anyway, he finally gets his big chance, and he realizes it's as he stands up that he's a little bit drunk. So he's like, here I'm meeting my queen, Darby, and he suddenly realizes he's pretty wasted. But he walks over and he makes his big move to impress you, and then like nothing comes out of his mouth. Love it. But he said, we were talking about this yesterday, but he said you were so sweet to him, even though it was clear he was a mess and had a mouthful of marbles. He said that you were just so gracious and sweet to him and didn't make him feel like, this silly fanboy. Right on. Thanks. Thanks.
I was probably as drunk as he was at the time.
Yeah, back in the 80s, there was a lot of that going on, that's for sure. Perry Boyko, hi, Perry, buddy. Good to see you here. Hi, Kelly. Hi, Darby. Gary Jones is saying red wine and mixed nuts, thumbs up. Yeah, sorry, guys. So many comments. Oh, Mark Chichkin from Helix is in the house. Hi, Kelly. Hi, Darby. Hi, Mark. Good to see you, buddy. Right on. So you guys, getting back to the Darby Mills Project, you guys have been crazy busy. And I got to look at your studio last night, where you guys have been working or where you've been busy working. And you guys have a new video for a new single coming out, House of Shadows. Is that correct?
We put out 3 in the last, what, 4 or 5, maybe even 6 months. And yeah, and there's another one coming. I'm waiting for the final mixes to come over from the UK. But yeah, we've been putting out stuff. It's not, one of the songs is an original written by myself and Gary Borden, who's out with Sash Jordan right now. He's a sweetheart of a guy, and we had such a good time writing Free Them. And another get your chit together kind of songs. Really
Right.
proud of that one. And yeah, and then we did Get What You Give, and did a video for that. That was at the beginning of COVID. We all recorded our parts in our home studios. Some of us didn't even have home studios. It was just a tape recorder, put it in. So the
Right.
fidelity of the track isn't the best, but we did what we could do. And when it came together, I was like, you know what, this is good enough. This is good enough to put out, just to show that we're not lost. We're here. We're trying. We're digging deep. And so that one, and yeah, then Free Them, and Trick of the Light came out about a month and a half ago, and again, hopefully House of Shadows will be out in the next month, if not sooner. Crossing my fingers. The video's basically done. I just went and bought all the green screen gear and put it up in my poor basement. You can't even move in my basement. There's lights and green screens and computers, and shot my part. Shot the boys. Went down for rehearsal to actually sing the vocals for House of the Shadows a month and a half ago, and got that done. Got home, sent the track over to Europe. It got sent back, so now my voice is on the track, and it's all yada yada yada. But this song in this video, like I said, I've spent like $400 buying parts for this video to put it together, and then filmed it myself, and in my basement filmed me by myself. So in other words, trying to start the machine while I'm filming. But it's been an awesome creative experience, and I'm really glad that I've had the opportunity to do it.
100%. Yeah. And I want to take a second here, Darby, to just give a big shout out to my show sponsors, Writers and Rockers Coffee Company. So I have tonight's feature coffee is Coney Hatch Devil's Deck Dark Roast. So Writers and Rockers, it's just a fantastic coffee, gourmet coffee, endorsed by rock stars. So, and they have, you can get mugs, Writers and Rockers mugs, t-shirts, all kinds of merch. So big shout out to those guys for being my official show sponsors. Hey, James Beaudry Music. Hi, James. James is the sweetest guy ever. He's such a good friend of the show. He wants to know, Darby, what's your number one tip to keep your voice healthy and strong?
Don't sing.
No, that's funny, but I get what you're saying. Rest it, right? Rest.
You know what? I have never had a secret, although I never used to warm up. My warm up would be stand in a corner and scream at the top of my lungs until I, coughed up everything that was in there, keeping it from vibrating properly. As I've gotten older, I realized that that's probably not a good idea anymore. You can pop a vein that way. So now I hum. I hum for about 15 minutes in various notes up and down, and just warm up that way, so that this poor old thing that I have abused for so many years, 45 years I've been in the industry now, can give me at least another 30.
Right. Right on. So I read, actually, did I read it, or maybe it was in the documentary, or maybe I read it. Either way, fun question. Is it true, because you've been married a really long time to your husband, Brian, is it true that Much Music filmed your wedding?
Yeah.
How cool is
Yeah,
that?
we'll be married 40. Yeah, that's pretty crazy, right? Well, Denise Donlin was my bridesmaid. At the time, she was the publicist for the Headpins. And it was
Right.
shortly after that she left and went to Much Music, and then went on to all the wonderful things that she's done. But yeah, back when we were equal.
I read that and I thought, how cool is that? And you've been married 40 years? Did you say 40 years? What's your secret? We all want to know. What's
Yeah.
the secret in 40 years? Do you have any tips?
Um, I've said this so many times, and it's somewhat true. Join a rock band and go away from home as often as possible.
A little distance makes the heart grow fonder, I think, right? Oh man. So, oh, by the way, Sean Tiedemann says that he hopes to see you around August when he's in your neck of the woods. Um, Robert Reed says, "You rock, Darby. Keep on rocking. True words. We do it for love now. The industry has changed. Cheers, Kelly, for doing the show." Oh, thank you, Robert. Absolutely my pleasure. Perry Boyko wants to know, are there any gigs coming up? Casino Regina gigs or Shake the Lake or any Darby Mills Project gigs coming up?
Uh, Unfortunately, we have to battle a situation where the name of my former band is more important than the name of the singer from that band. So the first choice is always the Headpins. And at this point, getting into any of those shows, they have the control of that. So it's not likely I'll be playing any of the venues I once did with the Headpins probably ever again.
Okay, well, that's an honest answer for sure. And I would imagine too that your time is pretty much wrapped up in what you're doing right now, which is recording the videos and Eddie Simon, who I
You know what?
actually know.
I'm filling my schedule with creative things just to keep moving forward. And if playing live is going to be an issue, then we'll just continue to produce new singles and new videos. And again, this new project that's coming out is going to be very different. I won't have to compete with the remaining classic rock bands for these gigs. They're very different, and I'm looking forward to once again reinventing and taking a different avenue where my opportunities won't be stifled as they are now.
Gotcha. Yeah. So Sandy Nodding has a question. She wants to know, and actually, I was going to ask you a form of this question. So, Darby, which song as a kid was the first song that grabbed your attention and that you couldn't stop listening to?
Oh man, the very first song was probably I've been so many places in my life and time. Cher sang it on the Sonny and Cher show.
Right.
I must have been like 4 years old when I heard that, and I'm doing it actually with Press Play, my retirement band.
Oh, nice.
And if it wasn't that song, it was probably Tina Turner's um, uh, uh, oh man, with the dancers. Oh, it was on Ed Sullivan. Oh my goodness, and now I can't remember it. I've done it for years with other bands. Big wheel
Rolling
keep
on
on
the
turning.
River?
Proud Mary. Yeah,
Proudberry.
Proud
Rolling on the
Mary.
River. We
Rolling
know
on the
that.
river. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
great tune.
That Tina Turner on the Ed Sullivan show on Sunday night, again, same era as the Sonny and Cher show, and she had her dancers, and they got up and they did this dance, and I was just like, "What is that? That's
What?
crazy!" And yeah, so that was a really early influence for me, and today I still believe I channel Cher a lot when I sing.
You're a fan. You're a Cher fan. I know that.
I am, yes.
Yeah, me too. I used to watch the Sonny and Cher show too when I was little, and she was another one of those women that I just was in awe of, and yeah, for sure. So and my question was going to be which female artists do you admire? And you've already mentioned Cher and Tina Turner. So who are you listening to today? Who do you listen to when you're just chilling listening to music? The classics, I bet.
Oh my goodness. Huh. I'm a little embarrassed and yet not to say it when I do my drives. The most time I'm listening to music is when I do my 5-6 hour drives down to Vancouver. And at most of the time, flying solo is in the CD, and I'm just going over it, going over it, going over it. I know that stuff inside and out, and it's just to be perfect and to try and make sure that the boys are playing the right parts. So when we get to rehearsal, it's like, that part's not right, you're not doing that right. So but listening to, what do I listen to? You know what, I've gotten so old, I don't even listen to radio anymore, and when I do, it's CBC. I'm sorry, I'm old.
There's nothing wrong with CBC. We have a really good rock station here in Lethbridge that plays a ton of Canadian content. So I will listen to that one because every second song is one of the guests I've had on this show. But I tend to make my own playlist, and it's all the guests that I have on the show. Speaking of guests that I've had on the show a few times, Mark Gladstone from Prism is watching. He's in the house. Hi, Mark. Good to see him. Oh, Eddie Simon's watching from New Zealand. Oh, this is interesting. So Ken Holst, who is a local music promoter, he is putting on Cornstalk 2023 in Tabor. Prism is going to be one of the bands there. Harlequin, Toronto, Lee Aaron, I think, don't quote me on that. But he's saying the Darby Mills Project for Cornstalk 2024. So I think he's offering you a gig. So let me know how you feel about that. I'll hook you up. Oh, yeah. Sorry, I'm not going to get to
bring it on.
You're in? Are you in?
Oh, I'm in. Yeah, bring it on.
Okay, there you go, Ken. I'll hook you up after the show, Darby. Tabor's like 30 minutes from here, so I'm gonna have my people call his people. I have no people. Who am I kidding?
Nice.
I have no people. Excuse me. Perry Boyko says. So Perry Boyko says, Darby, you still need to autograph my guitar. So far, I have Prism, Streetheart, Quiet Riot, The Romantics, Gila Sega, Toronto, Honeymoon, Sweet, and Killer Dwarf signatures. But he really wants a Darby Mills signature. So maybe you can come to Cornstalk in 2024, Perry. Bring your guitar. Yeah, so many comments. So Ronnie Horn says your new stuff is awesome. I would agree with that.
Thank you.
Yep, good stuff. Gary Jones is just saying, great interview, guys. So here's kind of, these are the questions, Darby, that I kind of take away from the music and kind of go into more. I jokingly, lovingly call them the Barbara Walters portion of the show. So looking back, what would you say you're most proud of?
The fact that I haven't let the people who doubted me and would rather see me retire keep me from living my best.
Great, good answer. I hope you were done because I don't want to talk over you. But yeah, that's definitely something to be proud of, Darby. What makes you happy these days? What makes you the happiest?
I'm grateful. I don't know if happy. I'm grateful that both our sons, are working hard at their trained field. They're going to be okay when we're gone. I'm convinced of that. They're good, kind human beings, and the fact that I'm still here with my husband and we're still doing it, that makes me happy.
100%. And I love that you would think of your kids in that answer, because really what more could a mom want if you raise decent, kind humans? That's definitely something to yeah. So this is kind of the same. I think you kind of just answered it, but what would you want people to remember about you after you're gone?
Yeah, I kind of answered that already. Just the fact that, I mean, if I could write down all the times I was that close to having something work, sometimes when I reevaluate or recount all those times that I just missed having something happen, it's kind of depressing. But if you can keep your wits about you and try to stay positive. Staying positive is so key. Having a good, strong family and people that support you is key. Yeah, the fact that I didn't quit when the odds were not in my favor numerous times.
I love that answer because I was kind of hoping you would say that, going back to that you really got to check the documentary out, guys. It's on YouTube, but just to have the balls, pardon my French, but just to have the guts to really start new and to just get back out there and launch a whole new venture. When maybe certain people told you should quit or thought you should quit or whatever, to start new and to come out on top, I think is definitely something to be, proud of for sure. And I got to get to a few more comments because there's so many and I don't want people to feel left out. Dean Worstiak just says, hey, Darby, you got the music in you. Keep it going. Love listening to you. Mitch Desimoro saying, hi, ladies, you look amazing. Who can we write to? Lorraine Gordon wants to know. Who makes the decision of what music to play on the radio? I want to hear you on the radio.
Oh, don't you hear? Don't it make you feel like dancing 3-4 times a day? I mean, I'm making a fortune. I made, I think, like $300 last year on a song.
Oh, put towards that the Adobe stuff that you got going on. Hey, Curtis Vasilek, hey, buddy. Curtis is Curtis is in a metal band called the Tyrants of Chaos. They're great friends of mine, and they just have a new album out. They are competing in the Canadian Classic Metal Fest this year, and they won the first round. So, Curtis, it's good to see you.
Wow.
So Sandy nodding, saying, I agree. If you do Cornstalk 2024, I will come. My kids and grandkids can come too. They live there. Sounds like Cornstalk's going to be a thing next year. Right on. You guys, I'm so sorry. There's so many comments. I'm not going to get to them all, but I do see you and I appreciate you chiming in, and I really appreciate you coming back to the show, giving us another shot tonight. And Darby, I just can't thank you enough for coming back. And I know that I speak on behalf of all your fans when I just say we're so glad that you're still out here kicking ass. We admire your guts, your resilience, and we're so glad that you decide to try again at 57. And we all just wish you health, happiness, all things amazing, and continued success.
Well, thank you, Kelly, for having me back on. And yeah, if you would like to see the band, you got to reach out to the venues and the festivals and let them know. Unfortunately, we are on a we're on somewhat of, I call it a blacklist. We're not the first on the list, and most likely will not be on the list for many of those venues unless enough people call in and say it's time to bring the singer of those songs in. The band's had many opportunities to be back. 7 years they've been playing the venues I once frequented for 30 years. And I'm still doing the songs. I'm still belting while I can. So yeah, before I can't, I'd love the opportunity to get back in there. And it's going to take the ticket buyer to let the venue buyer understand that they'd like to see the Darby Mills.
There you go, people. You got to reach out and use your voice and make a fuss. And I'm going to end on this note because I like this. Where did it go here? Bruce Giselle Link says your perseverance and your music will live on, Darby. And I think that's great. And I think people, there's a good chance you'll see Darby at Cornstalk 2024 in Taber, Alberta next year. So who knows? Thanks so much for your time, everybody. Thank you, Darby, for coming back. Guys, tune in next week. LA guitarist Jimmy Burkhardt, who's touring currently with Sweet, will be here. Thank you again, Writers and Rockers Coffee Company. Have a great week, everybody. Stay safe and sane. Be really nice to each other. Bye-bye.